have you silently quit on your dream already? Right. So, and by dream, I'm talking about your dream to become a physical therapist. Have you silently quit on it without even knowing it?
I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the
Hey, what is up? How are you doing? My name is Joseph Ngugi. I am a physical therapist. I am also a PT school acceptance coach and one of the co-founders of this platform, Pre-PT Grind World. For years, we've been helping students just like you get into physical therapy school without wasting time or money. So if PT is a career that you're interested in or fascinated by or looking into, you're on the right page. And on the other side, if you are a student that knows that PT is it, you're like, I've already done my research. I know that this is the career that I want to go into. But I'm having a hard time figuring out how to become a strong applicant, how to get accepted into a DPT program. Then this is also the platform for you. And if you find value in this particular training, please binge on all of the other content that we have on here. We have plenty of value laid out for you. And let's dive in. This is going to be a cool topic. And I think it's going to be one that most of us don't think about a whole lot, because when we think about getting into PT school, or when we think about being students or being strong applicants, we're always thinking about things like grades or GRE or whatever else we're told to think about. But rarely do we think about this topic that I'm going to discuss with you. So this is super important. And if you want to get into PT school, this is going to be something that you want to pay attention to. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below or reach out to us on any of our platforms. Instagram is always a great one. And we'd be more than happy to dive deeper into this with you. So the first question I want to ask you is, have you silently quit on your dream already? Right. So, and by dream, I'm talking about your dream to become a physical therapist. Have you silently quit on it without even knowing it? Right. And so what I titled this particular training as is, this is crushing your DPT dream without you even knowing, right? This right here. And so I want to talk about quitting, right? And this is a topic where it's very easy to hear this much and be like, oh yeah, no, I haven't quit on it yet, so I don't need to listen. But no, like there's two types of quitting. There's the very obvious quitting where I'm like, yep, I'm done. I don't think it's possible for me. Let me go find a different career path. And that's one way. And there's also a silent quitting that you might not even realize, but that silent quitting is actually draining or stealing your dream away from you without you even realize. And so the reality is, a lot of students, and we always say this, we always say that the only way your dream of becoming a physical therapist doesn't come to fruition or doesn't happen is if you decide to pull the plug, right? You are the one that is in the driver's seat. You have the power, right? So whenever someone tells you, I used to want to be a physical therapist, or I used to want to be something else, it just didn't work out. It's not that it didn't work out. It's just that at some point that individual felt like their situation was too impossible. So they decided to quit, right? And pull the plug. And so that's going to be the biggest thing that I want us to understand with this. And we just need to understand that there's a lot of times when we are silently quitting without even realizing it. And so, so I want to talk to those of you that might be silently quitting without even realizing it. And what that silent quit, it's more of a belief quit. Right. It's when I sabotage my ability to be a strong applicant because I no longer believe that it's even possible. So let's get a bit more specific. Right. So for those of you who might be older applicants, maybe you feel like you're too late in the game. For those of you that feel like your GPA is too low, maybe you feel like your situation is impossible. And part of it is because we compare ourselves to other students. We're watching what other students are doing, and you're always going to find a student that has a higher grade than you. You're always going to have a student that has more experiences than you, and that's usually when we're like, oh man, like I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be good enough. I can't compete with these other people that are better than me or have better grades than me. Or if you had a rough academic start and you're like, man, like I can't make a comeback, like that's a real thing that a lot of students struggle with. So what it does is it starts to chip away at your belief in the fact that your belief in your ability to become a PT or in your ability to make this possible. And what happens is if my belief starts to kind of get chipped away, then I start having this silent quitting. Like I'm quitting on myself little by little by little by little by little. And eventually it'll feel impossible. And at that point, I'll think, oh, well, maybe it wasn't meant to be. And sometimes it's added on by maybe who you're listening to, who you have around you. Sometimes it's family members, sometimes it's advisors. Trust me, I've even heard of physical therapists adding to some of that doubt. But it's something that you have to be very aware of, because at the end of the day, it comes down to you and a very simple decision. You have to decide that it's going to work. Like you literally have to decide that your decision to become a physical therapist is so deeply ingrained in you. It's so deeply rooted in who you are and how you want to serve people that it just has to work. And the students that come in with that mindset always crush it. Like I'm talking like students with super low GPAs. If you followed our platform for a while, you know we've had students that have started out with GPAs as low as a 2.4, some even lower than that. We've had students that have been in their 30s and 40s before deciding to switch career paths and eventually become physical therapists. We've seen students apply to PT school 4 years in a row before learning some of the stuff that we teach and eventually getting into PT school. So situations that they could have very easily looked at and been like, well, this is impossible. Like if I've gotten rejected multiple times, well, maybe schools just don't want me. If I have too low of a GPA, well, they're going to think I'm not smart enough. If I am too old, they're going to think this. If I can't pass or do well on the GRE, they're going to think this. And so you start to believe that it's not possible. You have to decide. You have to decide that it will work. And the reason why I tell you that it can work is because we've seen it work. like chances are that by now we've been in this game long enough to understand that most of the things that you feel are impossible, there's other students that have done it. And if they could do it, then why not you? Right? But you have to decide that it will work, because if you don't make that decision, then little by little, the belief will start to go downhill. And eventually you might get to the point where you think that there's no next move. There's nothing else that you can do. Now, is that the reality of the case? No, like there's always something you can do. But if you believe that there's nothing you can do, then that's when you quit. But it's happening silently without you even realizing it. Right? And so if you don't take control of that right now, though, it's going to be very easy for you to eventually pull the plug. And that's when your dream dies. That's when we have to look 5, 10, 15 years from now and ask yourself, will I be happy? Will I be happy if I'm doing something that does not fulfill me? Will I be happy that if I'm doing something that doesn't align with how I want to serve people, right? And just understand that your belief in your ability is always correct, right? If I believe I can't, cool, you're correct. If I believe I can, you're correct, right? But you have to understand that there's other people. Like if it's the actual obstacle that you're going through that's making you doubt yourself, you have to understand that other people have you're not the first, right? Like there have been other people that have had the exact same doubt and were able to make it work. So if that's the thing that's leading you to think that this is impossible, well, guess what? You're not the first. That's probably the greatest news that you can hear from me. Right? But because you're not the first, you have to decide, am I going to own it? Am I going to do everything in my power to make sure that even though I have this obstacle, I'm going to do what those other students did and figure out how to not quit on myself, figure out how to be resourceful, figure out how to get the right help, the right support system so that I can make this dream come to life. And 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years from now, I'm doing exactly what I was meant to do because I did not quit on myself. Does that make sense? And I think the last thing that I want to kind of say is the fact that when it comes to this idea of silently quitting on our dreams, our circle matters a lot. So please just kind of filter your circle. like I think I said it a few minutes ago, but what am I letting go in my ears every single day? What am I listening to? Am I listening to people that I would happily exchange places with? Am I listening to people that understand what I'm going through? Am I listening to people that have gone through this before? Am I listening to people that are increasing my belief in myself, or are they increasing my doubt, right? Are they leading me to fear the possibility of not being able to make this work? Because a lot of times people are reflecting their own fears on you. And if they once had a dream, but they didn't fulfill that dream, they're going to reflect the same thing on you. You just have to be very careful about that. And you have to understand too, that if right now you feel alone, that's the beautiful thing about online. Like right now, look at this right now. Like you're listening to me talk about this conversation, and this is probably what some of you might need to hear at this time, right? And so This is one way. You can listen to YouTube videos. You can listen to podcasts. You can follow certain platforms on social media that are constantly pushing you closer to your dream of becoming a physical therapist and not further away. And that's how you start to protect your circle and put yourself around other students, other people that are also doing this. And if you can start doing that, then you will constantly keep building your dream and you won't silently quit on yourself. Because when you start, man, it chips away at you. Sometimes it takes a few weeks, sometimes it takes a few days, sometimes it takes a few years. But if you let that happen long enough, that silent quitting, that doubt that builds up, that lack of belief that essentially gets to the point where it seems so big that you can't navigate through it, well, that's usually when you pull the plug on the thing that you were meant to do. So I hope that was clear. I hope that was helpful. And if at this point you're like, wow, like, first of all, thank you. But number two, what do I do next? What are my next steps? How can I put myself around other people like that? How can I have access to resources that will help me start figuring this thing out and start taking control of my journey as a student so that I can get into my dream career of becoming a physical therapist and beyond? And I want you to do this. Very, very simple call to action. Go to www.preptgrindnetwork.com. www.preptgrindnetwork.com. What you'll be able to go there. We have a phenomenal resource that you can have access to for 7 days for free. Now, if you stay longer, you can definitely keep having access to those resources and beyond. But everything that I talked about tonight, the things that will help you become rejection proof, the things that will help you become quit proof, the things that will help you be around the right people, the right support system, the right tools, the right frameworks, and the things that have helped tons of our students get into PT school after having those same doubts, that's what you'll have access to. So you don't have to do this by yourself. Just go to www.preptgrindnetwork.com. And that's it. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was valuable. I look forward to seeing you on the next training. Keep crushing it. Do not pull the plug on your dream. Do not silently quit on yourself. Protect your environment, protect yourself, protect your circle. And of course, if you liked this, please share this out with someone else that needed to hear this message. And of course, be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.